But and what did I write? Oh, I wrote a Lord of the Rings ripoff.
Oh, the ripoff?
Oh, yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah?
Elves, hobbits, yes.
Ah, so you're really much into fantasy from an early age.
Yeah, well, the Lord of the Rings movies were kind of coming out around that time, and we had listened to them on tape with my dad on a car trip once. So I think it was like my first adventure story, really.
It's still one of my favorite movies, especially the first one. It's just the whole atmosphere. It's absolutely great. So you're into fantasy, into futuristic science fiction, maybe even.
Yeah.
So when did you came up with the idea of the Divergent story?
Well, when I was a freshman in college, I was taking a psychology course, and we were learning about exposure therapy, which is a method of treating anxiety and phobias in which a person is repeatedly exposed to whatever scares them or makes them anxious until they become habituated to it. So it's a highly effective form of treatment, and I thought it would be interesting to take that idea and use it in a science fiction context. So the simulations came from there, and then the Dauntless came from the simulations, which is sort of backwards, but yeah.
It was, for me, when I read the story, it was like, how did she come up with this? It's just such an unreal kind of way the future would look like, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're certainly not about to divide into five factions.
Thank
like
God.
As a culture, hopefully. But yeah.
And you get punished if you start switching.
Yeah, not allowed.
So if you look at the factions, to which faction do you belong?
Oh.
If you would have to, you know?
It's hard to pick any of them because it's like bragging. It's like, well, I would be an erudite.
It's true.
Very smart. No, abnegation is probably what I would pick. But I think I would fail out of everything, so factionless is where I belong.
So what faction did you love writing about mostly?
Oh, Dauntless.
Dauntless?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's clear. It's like the book is a love letter to Dauntless.
Yeah.
Look how they zip line and ride Ferris wheels. Yeah, but I would never be able to do any of those things myself. No. I'd be like that kid
That's why you wrote
behind.
them down.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
And so you started writing Divergent, the first book. Did you already have the other story from the other two books in your mind, or?
Not while writing the rough draft. I finished it and thought, this could go on, this story could go on, but then after the rough draft, I outlined the other two, but I knew how it would end. So it pretty much kept the same structure that I had planned at that point, but then all of the details of its realization changed as I went. So.
All right. And maybe a little bit of a spoiler alert. Are there any people here that haven't read the third book?
Just
her? Oh,
a couple people.
3.
Yeah, maybe I should. I don't want to spoil it for them.
What do you? Yeah, I mean, I'm just really want to ask a question about the ending of the third book, but you might want to.
We could be vague about it.
Ooh, that's a challenge.
Give it a shot.
All right. I'm gonna give it a shot.
Like what? Why?
Yeah.
You can ask
Okay.
me why I decided.
Did you always envision the end to happen as it did?
Yes. This is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. So I did, when I was writing the third book, try other options out, like in my mind and sometimes on the page, and it just always felt like kind of.
Yeah.
It wasn't right. It was also like me being afraid of what I knew had to happen. So, from the beginning, it was kind of part of the plan. The books are structured, each one with the same kind of set of decisions at the end. This is very vague. Someday I'll tell you guys. And so it follows this pattern on purpose. Yeah.
This is one of the most frequently asked questions you had, and that's
I
what
understand.
But rumors are you actually wrote a new book in the summertime. Is that true?
I didn't finish it, but I did. I am writing a new book. Yeah.
Ooh, is it in
Not
the same?
Not a new Divergent book, just so you know, a new different book, non-Divergent. I like to get people excited.
What's the theme?
It's a sci-fi fantasy. Yes. And it's about a boy who, along with his brother, is kidnapped and taken into enemy territory, and then he has to ally himself with the sister of the dictator in that territory to save his brother's life. So it's kind of.
Ooh. Yeah. Sounds awesome. So when is it finished? When can we expect it?
Oh, I don't know.
They want some answers here.
Well, the plan is sometime in 2017, and I'm working as fast as I can. So,
All right.
yeah.
Better be good though.
I know. Well, thanks. No pressure.
But you've grown up in the whole Chicago area, and you know the whole story is around and in Chicago. Was it just a lazy choice, or was it? It's just.
Yes. No, when I wrote the rough draft, it wasn't set in any particular city. It was just in a kind of urban environment. I didn't really think about it that much, but my editor thought it would benefit from a sense of place, like a real sense of place, because it was obviously in our world, but in the future. And when I looked at it, there were these like elevated trains that were always running, and then there was this like marsh that had been a lake, and there was a river running through it, and these big buildings, and I was like, it's already set in Chicago. So
Whatever.
yeah.
Can be Chicago.
Well, I mean, that's where I've lived my whole life, so, well, pretty much. And so it just felt natural, I think. And it forced me to become a tourist in my own city. Like, I had to do a lot of research. So I got to know where I lived in a new way, which was really lovely.
And we've seen Chicago in the future.
Yep.
Not very nice place.
No.
How is it now?
It's good.
It's good?
Yeah. That's part of the fun of it, because Chicago's a pretty clean, like, orderly place. So making it into your playground is fun. Like, I don't know if anyone else did this as a child, but whenever I was in a mall or like a big store, I would think about what would happen if I got locked in here at night. Like, what things would I do? And so that's kind of what Divergent is. It's like, what would I do if I was alone in Chicago? Like, what could I climb? What could I jump off of? What could I break? Yeah, so it was fun.
That's cool. Thank you, Veronica. And
Yeah.
this is just the beginning. We actually elected some people. They sent in some questions.
You elected them?
Yeah.
By popular vote?
Yeah, popular vote. There were about 20 people voting. No, we got a lot of questions coming in our email.
Mm-hmm.
So we selected a couple of questions, and if you don't mind,
Yeah.
let's go for it, right?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So question number, they're sitting on the first row to be just convenient, right? Okay. This is the first question. Hello. Willemijn van Hees. Willemijn,
Hi.
hello.
Are there any characters in your book based on real people, like 4 maybe?
My husband.
You want to meet 4?
Somewhere in Chicago going, no, not, but anyway. Not really, no, I don't, I find that a little difficult, like, to look at a real person and to try and, like, accept the challenge of capturing them in fiction is very difficult to me, so instead I try to find, aspects of myself that I think would be interesting to explore. So I put the little pieces in every character. So I don't know what little pieces of me there are in 4. Certainly not the hunky kind. But yeah, some of them. I don't know. He's sort of an anxious person, so maybe that's the same. But
All right. Thank you, Willemijn. The second, Valeska Lopez. Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh my god, I'm fangirling so hard right now. Okay. First of all, I would like to thank you for writing the books, not only from my side, but I think I can say that for everyone who is here right now. And my question was, who from the series do you think would adapt the best to living in our world as it is today?
Oh, who would adapt the best? I feel like any of the Dauntless kids who are adaptable would do well. So maybe Triss or Floor. I feel like they are shining Dauntless stars. But yeah, I mean, I think they have to deal with a lot of interesting new situations as faction transfers, so they would probably do all right.
Olivijn.
Hi Veronica, nice to meet you.
Hi.
As an author myself, I was wondering, where did you get the inspiration from? So how did the story come alive?
Well, it was mostly the psychology class stuff, but I think you have to kind of follow your curiosity when you're a writer. There are things I was interested in, like how high a building can you zip line from? That was one of the things I had to research. Also, I think that writers should have a special, like, search engine to tell the government, like, when I look up how to remove a bullet, I am not, like, actually planning on shooting anyone. Our government's a little more paranoid. I don't know what yours is like.
Did you get a call?
Sorry. Yeah, or like how to, like, how to make an explosive. Like, that's something I Googled and I was like, I hope no one finds this.
Red alarm bells, woo!
Yeah, but all of those, I mean, it's a futuristic story, so it's not entirely realistic. Like, the technology that they use doesn't exist now. But grounding it in reality helps it to feel more real. Reality, in possibility. You know, what's physically possible is important. So part of creating the world of the series was asking a lot of questions and doing a lot of research, and then of course thinking about character and all of that. So.
Yeah. Great answer, by the way. Aisha Boydens? Ja. Oh, je wil een microfoon. Oh, daar komt hij al.
Hi, Veronica. If there's one thing you want people to learn about the story of Chosen 4, what is it?
To learn?
Yeah.
Well, it's a tough question. So, maybe I should just share my general philosophy of teaching through books. So I feel a little uncomfortable with kind of teaching through books. So the reason is because of the age of the people I write for. They call these your formative years for a reason, because at that age you're particularly malleable and learning who you are and developing your beliefs about the world. And I think a lot of times writers, or not writers so much, but people think that this is the time to teach you the most. But I think that this is actually the time to teach you how to think for yourself. So with my books, hopefully they're fun to read, but also hopefully they ask you to think about the world around you or what choices you would make in those situations. But that's pretty much where my message plan ends. Obviously, like, I'm a person with beliefs, and so my beliefs leak into the page inevitably. But my hope is that every book you read at this age, not all of you are in this age, but I'm talking to them specifically. The books you read at that age will help you to think for yourself about the world and decide what you believe for yourself. So it's kind of my roundabout answer to that question.
And why did you choose to write for these kind of ages?
I don't know. It's well, first of all, when I wrote it, I was 21. Yeah, 21 when I wrote the rough draft. So I felt like I didn't have. I mean, that was the only age I had been through. So I was like, all
Fair
right,
enough.
I don't know what 30-year-olds think about, so I'm gonna write about what I think about. But I think it's become a lot more than that. This is, I don't know, it's a difficult time of life, and a time of where everything is new and exciting and feels like fresh in a new way. So there's something really fun about writing about a character who is discovering love and like trying to figure out
Basically the same things.
yeah and like
we're going through.
and friendship and family and trying to balance like who you want to be with who your family wants you to be. Like, those are things that are very interesting to me, and that I actually don't think we stop dealing with as we get older. Like, people who think they've grown out of adolescence are kind of lying to themselves. Like, you grow out of some things, but not everything. You're always in high school forever. Sorry. Spoiler alert. But anyway, so to me it's just a really fascinating time, and then the more readers I meet who are that age, the more I'm impressed by how they can hold like extreme excitement and surprising wisdom at the same time. Yeah.
Nice. Dorette Kroeze. Je hebt er zin in.
Hi.
What was the most difficult part of the series for you to write? The most emotional
I think we all know the answer to that question, except for some of you.
was difficult as well?
Kind of, in a way, because I fought against it so hard. I think that was part of it, and it was certainly emotional. But a lot of other parts are harder in a more boring way, like transitional scenes, like where they're getting from place to place. Sometimes I'm like, I'm so bored, this is impossible. But if you're bored, whoever's reading will be bored too, so you try to find a way to make it interesting. But so those are a little hard. But other than that, like, the most emotional is clearly the end of the third book. Yep.
Oh. Eline Greven.
Hi. Did you guys hear what character I can most relate to? Okay. I don't know. That's not a good answer, is it? I can relate to them all, and because they're all a little like me in different ways. But I'm trying to think. As far as like the kinds of questions I have about life and a kind of temperament thing, I think I relate to 4 a little bit. As we've established, not in the hunky ways. But he's a very thoughtful person, and he's very observant about the world around him, and I like to think I'm like that a little bit. But he's also, he's not afraid of very many things, but he is very afraid of those things. And I relate to his kind of persistent fear, because I have anxiety problems and all that. But I'm not
afraid of heights.
I'm afraid of heights. Not like to that extent, but yeah, I'm afraid of a lot of things, actually. My name would be like 75. Yeah. But as far as his general like temperament and way of being, I feel like I relate to him a little bit.
Dankjewel. Kimberly Sacré.
Hi, so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I forgot my question now.
Sorry.
So foreigners are obviously used to living in the dystopian world that is Chicago. So I was wondering, in which other dystopian worlds, such as The Hunger Games or Maze Runner, do you think they'd be able to survive? And in which other dystopian world do you think they wouldn't stand a chance?
That's a good question. Okay, so I think they would do just fine in the Maze Runner. Yeah, because it's like basically a dauntless obstacle course. Yeah, so it'd be fine. But I don't know, where would they not survive? I'm trying to think of, there's a couple answers. I'll just give a couple. Okay. Like, have you guys read Delirium by Lauren Oliver? Those books? Yeah. So, A World Without Love. Obviously, like, their love for each other is like the kind of